Ontar's log, 15th of Gaynado, 2,000 years after sunfall. Here we are yet again, waking up in Evejdehala, the capital of the Rakanoth Empire. I can't stand it here, but unfortunately there are some in the party that call this place home. What they see in it, I cannot understand, but perhaps the coming of the great Iovun, dragonborn emperor of Rakanoth, will enlighten me. We shall see, but for now, let's recap the last session. Last we left off, Micah was heading for a meeting with Lady Gricoria, a member of the Rakanoth High Council. Creepoth, another member of the council, was keeping his end of a bargain with Micah to get the young wizard a proper license. On Micah's behalf, Lady Gricoria used a divination mirror to contact one of Micah's professors back in Rosalon. She asked him whether Micah was fit for a license, despite his expulsion from the school. It was a very emotional scene, as Micah received high praise from the professor, who called him the brightest student he had ever taught, fully convincing Lady Gricoria to sponsor Micah's wizardship. The scene came to a close with Micah and Gricoria discussing the history of the Empire for some time, and Micah revealing, a little to Gricoria's shock and surprise, that he was part of Balazar's company. A little farther west, our cleric of the sun, Rogar, and paladins Tebi and Cambrum were making a stew in the barracks of Ludric. Cambrum, a chef in the warforged army of Rakanoth, wanted to experiment with a new secret ingredient given to him by an old friend. Tebi, untrusting of the mechanical artistry of a non-tasting being, protested the use of the secret ingredient, leading to Cambrum making 2 separate batches. Meanwhile, I was out on the eastern side of the city, staying far away from the great tree which was near the others. You may be asking yourself, wait, but isn't Ontar a ranger? Wouldn't he be drawn to the tree? It must be killing him to be stuck in a city otherwise devoid of natural life. And to that I say, the wyvern knights who live in that tree would be killing me even more should I set foot near it. So I stay away. With the extra time on my hands, I visited the incredible dwarven city carved beneath the foundation of the capital, and picked up a new backpack for Balazar, who I hoped to see that evening. Speaking of Balazar, he too was running his own personal errands at the time. As you can tell, splitting the party is our specialty. The dragonborn barbarian was out trying to get a pearl he had acquired enchanted with water breathing. He needed it to properly fight a water-based genie keeping his friend Amphi in captivity. Balazar has every intention of freeing her, and is doing anything he can think of to prepare for that coming fight. To his dismay, he ended up being pointed in the direction of the barracks of Ludric, right where he was most likely to run into Cambrum, who he, like myself, had been avoiding. Back in the barracks, Cambrum finished his stew, and upon feeding the local soldiers, it was determined that the secret ingredient produced stronger flavors and improved the dish substantially. This pleased the Warforged in a way no human like myself can even hope to understand. Out in the dining area, Rogar was sitting alone, enjoying his meal when Tebi came in to put him through his 10th interrogation of the week. The Minotaur dug into the small dragonborn viciously, but Rogar held strong, keeping Micah's identity safe and vouching for the party overall, despite Tebi's concerns. Micah by this time had gotten back to the religious district, anxious to show Rogar his new license. On the way, he made an excellent trade with a merchant, turning in a miniature knife for the claw of what the merchant claimed was Eris the Fierce, a great blue dragon of old. Arriving around the same time in the district was Balazar, though he did not delay himself with any trading, instead heading straight for the barracks with pearl in hand. He stormed up to Nicholas's office, and, partially thanks to Cambrum's unexpected presence, the tension of the situation shot through the roof. It was the second emotional scene of the day, but in a much different sense than Micah's. Balazar carried a great deal of intensity in his words, speaking on the importance of saving Amphi with great passion. Cambrum did his best to ease the situation, while Nicholas, on the other hand, was almost dismissive of Balazar's plight. Even from this end of the city, I could sense a great disturbance in reality itself, the very fabric of this plane cracking as Nicholas and Balazar went at it. In a great exclamation that shook the entire barracks, Balazar cried out that the genie had taken away his tamer, and that he needed to get her back at any cost. To this, Nicholas finally relented, and agreed to enchant the pearl. As Balazar and Cambrum headed downstairs, things still very tense between them, they took a seat with Rogar, Tebi, and Micah, who had just come in. The party then discussed their plans moving forward, and decided that rescuing Amphi from Shishida the genie was their top priority. There was heated debate over the method by which this was to be done, with the conversation ending unresolved on this point. As is proper, the party, near fully reunited by this time, split up yet again. Micah and Rogar had a good moment of bonding, with Micah excitedly showing his new license and the two discussing the claw that the wizard had obtained. Tebby and Cambram, meanwhile, went upstairs to meet Nicholas, and the three shared conversation over Cambram's intentions to learn the ways of the artificer, and Tebby's hope to get married to a minotaur back at home, away from the Empire. The three continued to converse into the night, while Balazar headed out to the docks to meet yours truly. I gave the barbarian the backpack which I had purchased for him, and lamented over how I couldn't spend more time with the party. I told him I had to care for my younger sister in town, who had fallen upon an incurable illness. Balazar understood, equating my troubles to those he had with others in his clan. I then proceeded to ask Balazar about his friend in the Wyvern Knights clan, whom Creepwoth had told me about, but Balazar was entirely confused, knowing nothing about that and reiterating his distaste for those whores and perverts, as he called them. I spoke on my feud with the clan, saying I couldn't go get the information I needed myself, as there were many of them and only one of me. Balazar corrected me, saying that that was where I was wrong. There were many of them, and 2 of us. We then devised a plan for Balazar to meet me at the docks the next evening, to capture one of the knights and get the information out of them. Finally, my turn to try out one of these interrogations other party members seem to enjoy so much. Too bad Rogar won't be involved. This concludes Ontar's log, February 27th, 2021.